Between 1820 and 1840, roughly 3,000 mountain men roamed the Rockies, living in conditions so brutal that most didn't last more than a few years. They faced grizzly bears, starvation, hostile encounters, and winters that could kill you in your sleep. Yet they survived using skills that most of us have completely forgotten. Number 17 on this list involves drinking something so revolting that modern survivalists refuse to believe it works. And number 3 was so effective that it saved a man who had been mauled by a grizzly and left for dead with his bones exposed. These weren't superstitions or folklore. These were proven survival techniques passed down from Native American tribes and refined through trial and error in the harshest wilderness on Earth. Let's count down the 25 forgotten mountain man secrets that actually saved lives. Number 1, traveling with a 30-pound pack through winter. John Colter learned from the Crow Nation how to survive an entire season carrying almost nothing. From fall 1807 to spring 1808, he explored 1,000 miles of unmapped wilderness on foot, alone, through the dead of winter, passing through what would become Yellowstone and Grand Teton National Parks. His pack weighed just 30 pounds. Modern backpackers carry twice that for a weekend trip. The secret was living off the land completely. No tent, minimal food reserves, just the absolute essentials, and the knowledge to find everything else along the way. Number 2, building a bull boat from a buffalo hide. When mountain men needed to cross rivers quickly, they didn't look for bridges. They stretched a fresh bison hide over cut green willow saplings, creating a bowl-shaped boat that looked like half a grapefruit. Waterproof and surprisingly stable, though admittedly awkward to paddle. For faster crossings, they'd strip naked, pile their clothes and rifle on a buffalo hide, tie it into a floating bundle, then swim while holding the rifle above water with one hand and kicking their legs. This technique also threw pursuers off their trail since tracks disappeared at the water's edge. Number 3, reading buffalo herds to detect enemies. The Native Americans taught mountain men a surveillance trick that saved countless lives. Camp on high ground and watch the bison. When the herd suddenly shifted direction or broke into a run for no visible reason, it meant someone was approaching from that direction, usually hours before you'd see them yourself. Buffalo sense threats long before humans do. A mountain man who ignored this early warning system rarely lived long enough to make the same mistake twice. Number 4, using sign language across tribal boundaries. The Western tribes didn't all speak the same language, but they communicated through a nearly universal sign system. Mountain men who learned this could trade, negotiate, and gather intelligence across dozens of different nations. The signs were basic and surprisingly easy to master, turning a potentially deadly encounter into a peaceful exchange. But what they ate when food ran out is where things get truly desperate. Number 5 involved boiling something for 12 hours that even wolves wouldn't touch. Number 1, eating anything that kept you breathing. When a mountain man named Sage ran out of provisions, he and his starving party ate a wolf for breakfast. Later, they found abandoned buffalo hides so hard and tough that wolves couldn't chew them. They boiled those hides for 12 to 14 hours until they became edible. Other men ate ants, crickets, grasshoppers, and leather moccasins crisped in the fire. Modern survivalists talk about eating bugs like it's revolutionary. Mountain men did it routinely because the alternative was death. Number 2, brain tanning leather for clothing. Every mountain man knew how to turn a raw hide into soft, wearable leather using nothing but animal brains and elbow grease. They'd scrape the hide clean, mix brain matter with fat, work it deep into the skin, then stretch and work it over a beam for hours until it softened. This wasn't just bushcraft. It was how they made every piece of clothing they wore. The leather had to be perfect because poorly tanned hides fell apart in wet weather, and being soaked in the Rockies during winter meant freezing to death. Number 3, never giving up no matter what. Hugh Glass proved this in 1823 when a grizzly bear mauled him so badly his ribs and backbones were visible through torn flesh. His companions took his gear and left him for dead. Glass regained consciousness with a broken leg, festering wounds, and no supplies. He crawled and rafted over 200 miles back to Fort Kiowa. The journey took weeks. What kept him alive wasn't superior skill. It was the absolute refusal to quit. Mountain men survived because they kept moving forward even when death seemed certain. Number 4, finding water by reading trees. Thirst killed faster than starvation, and mountain men knew it. On the open plains where water wasn't obvious, They searched for cottonwood or willow trees with deep green leaves. That color meant water close to the surface. A man who couldn't find water in 2 days was a dead man walking. This wasn't luck. It was learned observation passed down from native guides who'd survived the same landscape for generations. Number 5, carrying fire steel and flint everywhere. The ability to start a fire separated the living from the frozen dead. Every mountain man kept fire steel and flint as his most critical equipment because matches were unreliable and ran out. A good fire meant warmth, cooked food, purified water, and protection from predators. Lose your fire-starting ability in January and you had maybe 48 hours before hypothermia finished you. These men lived at the absolute edge of human capability in an environment that killed without mercy. They didn't have backup plans or rescue helicopters. What they had was knowledge, determination, and skills refined through thousands of failures by the men who came before them. That's what real survival looked like before we had the luxury of forgetting how hard it actually was. Number 6, staying dry at all costs. Mountain men understood that wet clothing in winter wasn't just uncomfortable, it was lethal. They wore brain-tanned leather and tightly woven wool blankets that repelled water. Modern fabrics might be more advanced, but the principle remains identical. Once your core temperature drops from wet clothes, you've got hours at best. They treated staying dry like a religion because the mountains didn't offer second chances. Number 7, choosing simple tools over fancy ones. These men operated at the end of a supply line so thin it barely existed. They picked gear based on one question: will this work when I'm 500 miles from the nearest trading post? Knives were so critical that if one was lost or stolen, a trapper would risk his life to get it back. Old Bill Williams died trying to retrieve his cache knife and rifle from Ute territory. Simple, reliable tools kept you alive. Complex ones got you killed. Number 8, adapting to Native American culture completely. Smart trappers married Native women, not just for companionship, but to establish kinship ties that meant the difference between trading peacefully and getting ambushed. They adopted native foods, clothing, and customs. Some even avoided growing full beards because many tribes distrusted men with excessive facial hair, calling them dogface. Cultural adaptation wasn't political correctness, it was survival strategy. Number 9, setting their own broken bones. There were no doctors in the Rockies. A mountain man with a broken leg had 2 choices: set it himself or die where he fell. They learned primitive first aid and herbal remedies because infection from a simple wound could kill you in a week. Modern medicine has made us forget that for most of human history, a broken bone was potentially fatal, and surviving it required knowledge most people today don't possess. Number 10, reading, weather, and tracking through environmental signs. Nature provided constant information if you knew the language. They learned which plants indicated water, how animal behavior predicted storms, and what tracks meant in different soil conditions. This wasn't mysticism. It was pattern recognition developed over years of paying attention to details that city people never notice. The mountain men who opened the American West weren't superhuman. They were ordinary men who learned extraordinary skills because the alternative was dying alone in the wilderness. Most of these techniques are almost extinct now, remembered only by a handful of people who still live close to the land. We've traded self-reliance for convenience, and most of us couldn't survive a week using the methods that kept these men alive for years. That's not progress. That's forgetting who we used to be.